Hey, yo, Reject Nation, we gonna watch Rambo Last Blood. John, how many Rambo movies have you seen?
I've seen clips of many of them, but I've only seen one, and it was the last one, Rambo.
In some countries known as John Rambo.
I know. I was taken aback when they didn't call it that here.
Well, arguably, that's probably the only one you need to watch. That's a big argument because the author of First Blood said that one is the one that's most tonally akin to the John Rambo character and the overall mood of what he originally envisioned the character to be as.
See, I'm keeping it real. This was intentional.
I would say watch First Blood and the fourth one. You can kind of skip 2 and 3.
Okay.
I wonder how many people are like, screw this guy. No, that's not the Rambo franchise.
The honor-bound protector of the innocent, Rambo.
I'm all about source material, apparently. No. I like this whole franchise. Even part 3, which is not a good one, but I even like that one.
We're dealing with an expert, with guns, with knives, with his bare hands. Rambo was the best.
I finally came home to defend the only family I've ever known. You must really want this girl? All she's got is me. She's coming home. You started this. I'll end it. I'm gonna tear you apart. This is what it feels like.
Whoa.
That's the coolest tribute trailer I've ever seen.
No, look how far we've come.
My niece, she was taken.
That's exactly what I thought of. I was like, let's get taken. Let's put it just on the John Rambo ranch here.
Yes.
Kill some cartels or whoever that is.
I wonder why they decided to splice the footage back and forth. When we saw the trailer for the first trailer, when we saw Hobbs and Shaw, I looked at you and I was like, if this was a Rambo movie, I would have no idea. Until the title card came up. Other than that, it looked like just any other Sylvester Stallone action flick that's come out recently.
Yeah, it could be Bullet to the Head 2 or something.
You have to think Al Pacino. This could have been Al Pacino, guys.
Really? He was
Yeah.
almost Rambo?
He was almost Rambo.
He was almost making this movie?
He was almost, yeah.
Can you imagine what Al Pacino now would be in this?
Going after the cartel! This movie's gone through so much production hell. It's taken like almost 10 whole years to get off. The Rambo franchise in general is one of many struggles. The first book to get adapted took a long time. Literally, the only smooth one was part 2, getting that off the ground. Because they were like, well, first one's a hit, so let's just make another one. And then part 3 was a production nightmare. Hell, I heard Stallone's ego was through the roof on that one. And then John Rambo came out, decades later.
And he was completely humbled by it.
Yes. At one point, one of the early drafts of this was supposed to be a little bit sci-fi, where they would deal with, one of those genetically modified
super soldiers.
It was like inspired by some book called Hunter that I think it was like akin to the first Predator movie. And then, of course, they had that point where they thought they were going to get a prequel where Stallone might direct it because he talked about that. Then they talked about possibly doing that as a television show.
Dude, they should just hand off the franchise to Michael B. Jordan.
They
and
might
have him
as
do
well.
like a mentorship with a young assassin or whatever, a young soldier who wants to learn how to kick every ass.
That would have been funny.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
Or it could be a girl.
I thought they were going to do something with, all these facts I know, and I'm totally blanking on Richard Crenna's character name. The Colonel.
You remembered Richard Crenna's actor name.
The Colonel. The Colonal character in the first three. I thought they would probably do something with, like, oh, he has a daughter or a son or, like...
Let's start expanding
something
on
like that.
every character who has appeared in these other Rambo movies. Let's just get all their kids and, let's make it personal, even more personal.
I wonder if people will actually watch this movie. Other than hardcore Rambo... That's me trying to flow with my mispronunciation. Hardcore Rambo.
Yeah, you're doing a little bit of that Eminem rapping, making those rhymes happen.
Rambo with the bimbo and the slambo.
In Lambo.
And at one point, one of their other many drafts, he united with the author of First Blood to do.
I thought you meant in the story he meets the author.
Yeah, it becomes very meta. Yeah, no, he united with the author of First Blood, and they were going to make this very, as they described it, a soulful portrayal of Rambo in his later years. But the producers were like, no, we want to make this about human trafficking all the way. And that's the plot line that I think we've settled on here. Although, in retrospect, I kind of get what in terms of showing this flashback footage and seeing that most of the action seems like it's going to take place on Rambo's ranch.
Yeah, it's going to be like
Why did they just call it that? Rambo's Ranch.
Rambo's Ranch.
Would have worked perfectly.
Rambo comes home.
Most of this takes place on Rambo's Ranch, and the First Blood it all takes place in a small town. Mm-hmm. While it's not like one building, it's still pretty contained in terms of where the action is. Whereas like 2, 3, and 4 are just big war zones that it takes place in. And then this would bring it back a little bit more to a contained environment, something I guess a little bit more primal and immediate and more contained, which I guess sounds pretty cool. I just have a hard time imagining people are honestly all that hyped for this movie. Are you guys hyped for this movie? I don't know who's hyped for this film.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk about or tweet about it or anything like that. And
except
Rambo,
for JTE.
This is true. JT does love his Stallone
Which, happy
movies.
birthday, by the way, JT.
Happy birth! I get the sense that this trailer is partially trying maybe to use that nostalgia, splicing in old clips to kind of play up that, like, oh, it's special, it's probably the last Rambo movie.
Yeah.
To kind of get people more interested. But yeah, I don't know. This feels something more for Stallone and company than it does feel for, like, a fan base that's in need of another Rambo.
He said he wouldn't mind continuing on, but then he also had interviews where he said that he just felt like his body's not capable of doing this anymore. Then he signed on to do this. Because you see, like with the Creed franchise, he's not fighting in it, so it makes sense how he's able to still sustain a portrayal of Rocky in there. But here, it's like, he needs to be there. Unless this ends with his daughter, who's going to be the new Rambo. Jane Rambo.
Dude,
is going to be the new.
It's coming. Yeah. It is
Just wait.
coming.
People are going to be excited for that.
I mean, I'm actually kind of bummed, though, because that, like, soulful take sounds kind of cool to me.
Yeah.
Soulful Rambo.
No, man. Human trafficking. That's where the money's at.
Yeah, let's get topical. let's say something
let's get
about
topical.
this.
Let's have Rambo jack up a bunch of Mexicans.
Yeah. Let's not provide really any commentary on trafficking. Let's just kill a bunch of them.
Kill a bunch of cartel.
Get that empathetic satisfaction.
And I heard this is having an early screening at the White House.
Really?
And he's fighting back. That's a whole other topic we're diving into now.
All right. That's a very American thing to do. Screen Rambo at the White House.
Well, guys, are you excited for Rambo Last Blood? We'll be seeing this. It looks pleasant. I wonder if it's going to be as gruesome tonally as the last one was. That last one was
a nasty movie. Yeah.
It was difficult to sit through. It felt very real.
This doesn't look like it'll necessarily feel real, but it looks like it will be brutal.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, you guys can subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell, and you can check us out on Patreon, where we do TV show reaction stream-alongs, some with reaction highlights included. Let's give a Patron of the Day shout out to a fairly new patron. Just like 4 or 5 days ago, he pledged. His name is Omar Young. Ooh. Omar is originally from Puerto Rico. He had moved to Florida in pursuit of the big American dream.
Yeah.
No, he's not Cuban. He's Puerto Rican.
Yeah. Get your accents right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's younger than us, 23 years old, already married,
Dude.
Has a beautiful, hot wife who he sexually satisfies morning, noon, and night. I don't know why he led with that when he first introduced himself, but I was like, okay, Omar, why not?
In case you're wondering.
His wife is from Mexico, so this trailer is just her cup of tea right here. Mm-hmm. I figured this is the right channel to shout you out on. Don't worry, Omar. In the next Rambo movie, he's going to fight Puerto Ricans, and you are going to be demographically satisfied.
You're going to feel that representation.
Yes.
And you're going to feel great about it. But you know what? I just want to say thanks for being here, because you seem like a lovely cat.
Yes.
And I feel like you should watch this movie in Spanish like you watched all 22 MCU movies in Spanish.
You might as well.
I feel like there's probably a lot less dubbing in a Rambo movie. There's a lot of, and then the occasional dialogue.
Keep up with the photography and videography business, my friend. Keep following that passion. Much love to you, and thanks for being here.
Woo!